Many in the Lexington community are mourning the loss of influential artist Patrick J. Mitchell tonight.
Mitchell was an award-winning photographer, actor, playwright, and so much more. His work was widely recognized across Lexington. New tonight, WKYT's Jeremy Toms visited Radio Lex to learn more about Mitchell's lasting legacy.
The more you look into the life of Patrick J. Mitchell, the more accolades and accomplishments you find.
He came to work for us for a while as a production manager, but he was also a very busy performer and photographer.
His titles also included playwright, director, and co-founder of Radio Lex, where his award-winning camera work lines the walls and his unique sound echoes through the halls.
And his show, Kiss of Life, was one of the first shows that Radio Lex carried.
No time until the cops come knocking at the door.
It really reflected his philosophy.
All the memories right here on Radio Lex and the Kiss of Life.
He just had a really amazing heart for the community.
That heart could be found in how Mitchell supported the careers of young artists.
Well, I actually got to meet Patrick in 2018. I had auditioned for a play, and he was actually one of the judges. And I kept hearing somebody say, "Oh, she's an actress, she's an actress," and then I realized he was talking about me.
Kia Arnold went on to produce Mitchell's podcast, I'm Too Old for This, at Radio Lex.
I think that it brought a lot of comedic relief.
We're too old for that.
Arnold said he was always positive and brought a breath of fresh air into any room. So in this space and in others, Mitchell's loss will be felt acutely, but he won't be forgotten.
It's not just the arts community, it's not just the black community, it's Lexington. We're gonna miss him so much around these parts.
In Lexington, Jeremy Toms, WKYT.
Well, Radio Lex will host a tribute show for Patrick J. Mitchell's Kiss of Life on Friday, September 20th. The show, featuring highlights and Mitchell's favorite tunes, will air from 1 to 6 p.m. on WLXU 93.9 FM. And we also talked with Mitchell's son, Maxwell, who announced a celebration of life for his father at the Lyric Theater. That event will take place on Saturday, September 21st, with doors opening at noon.